guys, welcome to another video. My name is Femke from Fame to the Fiction on Instagram, and today I am here with my most disappointing reads of 2018. First and foremost, I just want to say that these are just my opinions and my feelings, and I don't mean to personally attack or offend you. I am not out to offend the author, and if I name a book that you loved, I'm sorry, but opinions differ. That is just the way it is. That is to say, these are my most disappointing reads, so I did not necessarily hate these books. But I will not make this a too long video because I hate hating on authors' books. Because obviously they spent a lot of time in it. And I'm not saying it was a bad book, I'm just saying it was not for me. But without further ado, let's get into the video. Okay, this is not in any particular order, except maybe by last name of the author, since I just picked them out of my bookcase that way. But the first book that left me quite disappointed was The Hazelwood by Melissa Albert. I just felt the plot was a bit messy. The writing style was definitely not for me. I have to say that I do love the cover. And if she ever publishes the actual, like the stories, the Tales from the Hinterland, I will definitely read that. That said, I did quite like the atmosphere of the books, but I just found that the execution overall was not what I was looking for in a book. The next book on this list is actually a novella, and that is Cruel Crown by Victoria Aveyard, which are the companion stories in the Red Queen series. I just found this book absolutely unnecessary. Both stories are explained quite well in the books themselves, so I did not see why this needed to be published. I especially found the second story to be quite annoying because there were a lot of words that were redacted, and that just really grated on my nerves. So no, I did not like this book at all. I will read the final book in the series, Warstorm, for closure's sake, but I don't have too high hopes for that, unfortunately. Another book that I was left really disappointed by, unfortunately, was Forest of a Thousand Lanterns. My biggest issue with this was that it was so slow. It was just... we were well past the halfway point before anything really action-y happened, and that was such a shame because I really, really loved the final third of the book, I think. But it just... overall, it wasn't enough to redeem the book in my opinion. I do think I will read the next book, but like I said about Warstorm, unfortunately my hopes aren't too high, but I will read it for closure's sake. One definite redeeming quality about this book is the cover, because I absolutely love that. The next book is another one that I had super high hopes for, but those weren't entirely met, and that is The Cruel Prince. This is one of those books that in the end, I still liked. And I liked it enough that I do want to read The Wicked King, which is the sequel, obviously. But I was still left kind of disappointed by this because it was such a hyped book and the premise sounded amazing. But my expectations just were not met. And I have a really hard time putting my finger on it. But it's just, I mean, I love the ending, but just overall it was kind of, the fairies weren't brutal enough or something. I don't even know, but I was left disappointed by this. Then the next book on this list is Beyond the Darkened Shore by Jessica Leek. I loved the first 3/4 of this book. Well, maybe not loved, but genuinely liked at least. And I just felt the ending was too simple, it was too rushed, it was not enough explanation in a sense, and that was really a shame because that really took down the entire book for me. But I am hoping, because Jessica Leek is going to release another standalone. I believe it's kind of set in the same universe but in a different place with different characters. So I really hope that that one will be better in terms of plot. Because like I said, I really liked the first 3/4 of this book, I just didn't like the ending. Then the next book on this list is actually not the book I'm going to be holding up, but a sequel, but I don't own that physically yet. But that was Escaping from Houdini, which is the third book in the Jack the Ripper series. I loved the first 2 books and I had super high expectations for the third book, but unfortunately there were just quite a lot of plot points and plot twists and characters and actions that just left such a sour taste in my mouth that I was just left so sorely disappointed by that my excitement for this series has cooled down considerably. I hope the final book will make up for a lot of that, but I am just not as excited for this series anymore after that third book. The next book on this list is Kingdom of Ash by Sarah J. Maas. When I read it, I quite liked it. But then the day after, I watched the Lord of the Rings series, and I was so shocked by how many similarities there are in these books, and I am really even more shocked probably that no one has ever called it out, or not a lot of people at least. I'm not going to go in all the instances, but there are so many scenes or plot points or plot twists or people that have just so obviously been kind of like stolen from the Lord of the Rings series, and it's so blatantly obvious that it just took down my love for this series considerably. And in the end, like at first when I finished it, I was not disappointed. But after I watched The Lord of the Rings, so a day later, I was so disappointed in this book and its series. And that was such a shame, because I did think this was a good ending before I watched Lord of the Rings. The next book on this series is 1,000 Beginnings and Endings. In the end, there were, like in the final half of the book, there were quite a few stories that I did like, but I just had such a hard time getting into those stories, which is maybe also the format because of all the short stories by different authors. But there were definitely quite a few stories in there that was just like, okay, but what's the point? I don't see the point. And I was just really sad about that, because my hopes for this were quite high. And there were definitely a few of them in there that I really, really liked, and I would definitely recommend. But unfortunately, I cannot recommend the book in total. And then the final books on this list are the final 2 books in the Royal series, which are Fallen Heir and Cracked Kingdom. I did not even finish Cracked Kingdom. I was so annoyed by all the characters and all the actions and the revelations, and it was just everything that I loved in the first 3 books were just completely gone in these 2 books, and that is all I'm going to say about it. But it was such a shame, because I still absolutely love the first 3 books. That is all for this video. I hope you liked it. Well, maybe not, I'm not sure. Comment down below with what books you were left disappointed by in the past year. Like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you would like to, and hit the bell icon if you want to be notified every time we post. I want to thank you guys for watching, and I will talk to you next time. Bye!